Welcome to the Retreat. I am so excited to do this video with you. So, I am chatting all things books that I read in November 2024. I read about 16 to 17 books. I'm mostly on audio. I actually listened to most of the books because I found it that it was soothing. It's just been an interesting month. I don't know about you, but November felt like forever. And yet it's December 1st. And I'm like, how would this happen? This Halloween in December 2024. I was just starting to do my end of the year reflection, which I'll share a couple exercise and questions to do in the next couple weeks in Substack, just an FYI, just to do. I like to revisit what it looks like. But 2024 was an interesting year, and probably do a deep dive about it. But it was an interesting year where a lot of changes happened, and yet at the same time, my life looks very different, and it just didn't feel that way when it was happening. And I think November was kind of like a just similarity. So November, we started off with elections. The first few days, I was like just hopeful and ready to like a new beginning, a new change, a new positive things. And I knew like things would change. And then we had the news that the outcome was not what I wanted or what I expected. And it was disappointing in many ways. And it's disappointing because I live in Florida. So there was like also the referendum in Florida was like not what I expected and what I wanted to. And I was like, what is it going to look like? And I had made that conscious choice that I did not want my joy to be taken away from for how the world arrives and how the world things are. And so I made a conscious choice. I was just going to keep my joy as a priority. And so that meant I kept going out and showing up to things that bring me joy, taking care of myself, taking care of like going to yoga, going to see my friends, getting a Christmas tree for the first time in 25 years. I haven't had a Christmas tree. And I was like, let's just do it. I have space to store it. I actually have storage closet in my new apartment and it'll bring me joy. And so it's it only has lights. It does not have decorations. And that's just the vibe is I'm upgrading. I am getting my decorations for my grandmother's next year. So I'm gonna ship them off. I'm actually gonna go to Puerto Rico in December and then I'll be there for a few weeks. And so I'll be looking at the decorations and figure out which ones I'm gonna ship myself for them. So that's gonna be a process and a project. So now I'll have that for next year. But it's interesting. So yeah, so I decorated and then a few weeks later I ended up going to New Orleans for a work trip. I work remotely. I have a day job. I actually do enjoy it. I actually have a day job that is actually interesting and fun and it's different. And so I don't get to see my boss or my coworkers regularly because we live in different states. We just fly out. That's been a little bit about what I've been up to. And then Thanksgiving break. So because I was supposed to go to Puerto Rico that week for a couple weeks, I ended up canceling because the plane tickets were expensive. So I decided to save for the week of Thanksgiving. I'm going to go to Puerto Rico like in a couple weeks. So it's not fiction. I'm not missing out. So I stayed here and I just meal prep, went to classes, saw my friends, read, listened to books, did my thing, like pretty much like an easy day. So that's been really what my Thanksgiving looked like, but it's not that exciting. So that's been a recap. And now we're December 1st, and I'm like, oh, what is going on? I have 2 weeks in Tampa. I gotta make the most out of it. So that means going to yoga, going to bar, doing my work, recording videos, do the thing before I go home to Puerto Rico. But I'll have like some time off over there. And we're excited to spend time with my family and spending time to do some end of the year reflection. So let's get to the books because I know that's what you're looking for. So let's get to the books. So I grouped them by like different themes because even though they're like there's different themes to what I read. I am a mood reader through and through. I don't work well with TBRs. I just feel like if it feels good, then I'll read it. If it doesn't feel good, then I just skip it. I try out a lot of books when I start reading. I try out like 4 or 5 books before I settle into one. And sometimes I pick books that I left off months ago, and I'm just like, "Oh, this is the greatest book ever." Or I'm like, "Oh, rush if you just get read, yeah, altogether." So that's been like my style reading this year. It's been very me reading, very like easy going. I actually did a tally of how many audiobooks I read. I listened to 100 audiobooks and I actually read 50 something books. So my reading has shifted from the years where I used to read a book a day to now I'm listening to books. And I'm not listening to books every day. Like it's not what I go to. I typically go to during my day. I listen to YouTube videos and just kind of like scrolling on Instagram. That's what I normally do. So I listen to books at night. I listen to them like probably like a couple hours before going to bed. I do listen to two times speed, or depending on the narration, I may listen to 2.10, 2.20, but I listen to them quickly and stuff like that. And sometimes I fall asleep. I set a timer of 30 minutes, and sometimes I fall asleep and I just like catch up on the story. That's to me the audiobooks. And sometimes there's a lot of fluff and you just still miss it. So when you catch up with the story. So that's a little bit of my audiobooks, but let's start with the ones I'm actually just been talking and raving to my friends. And then we'll go into the other ones, so the more fiction. So I was raving to my friends talking about nonfiction. And you'll be surprised why are we talking about nonfiction? Those are boring. Those talk like robotic people. Like, why are we talking about this? But let me tell you something. I discovered nonfiction this year. For me, what works is like pop culture, millennial, TV shows, movies, thinking about stores, like history about malls. Thing that's been like fascinating. It's been interesting just to understand like the way I am. It just gets me bringing back to my memories and see time and just learn something new. So the nonfiction I read or list this month was Selling Sexy, the history of Victoria's Secret, the rise and fall of Victoria's Secret. And then I just moved along, and this is a December one, but they're tied together. The Kingdom of Pride, the rise and near fall of J. Crew. So we're talking about shopping malls and 80s, 90s fashion and everything in between, fast fashion and all the different things. So Selling Sexy is a history of Victoria's Secret. And it comes from like the idea of how the store was made, which was a lot of catalogs, which I did not realize this until I started realizing I started thinking about it. It's like, no, that's how we used to shop in the 80s and 90s. We used to get catalogs, the Sears catalog, the Delia's catalog. Like, I used to shop on catalogs. I used to like because I was a little bit bigger and the clothes in the mall did not fit me. So catalogs were the way you can actually get clothes, like they were the price. And so it start both of them start as a catalog business, and then they start evolving and like how they evolve the walls. So Victoria's Secret store as a catalog business, it was originally they decided to have like a store, and they just outsourced different lingerie companies into this brick and mortar store in San Francisco. And the guy used to spend a lot of money, and it was a debt. So he ended up selling his shares to Victoria's Secret to the owner of the Limited, who at this time was doing the specialty stores and malls and the Limited, Express, and all those different things. So, and he had a whole system on how to sell inventory from the actually making the clothes to selling it to all the marketing and to the mall growth in the 80s and 90s. So it was fascinating to understand like these players in fast fashion. I was not a Victoria's Secret. Victoria's Secret did not come to Puerto Rico until like, I don't know, like 10 years ago, not even that, 5 years ago. And I understand why, because the guy who owned the Limited at Victoria's Secret did not like to do international extension. So he considered Hawaii international, let alone Puerto Rico, which is like speaking another language, but they're very conservative. They'll have thrive, but that's the show. So it was fascinating. We hear about the angels, we hear about like the function and the idea, like the idea of beauty in the arts and the arts and how like the weight loss and all those different things. But what I found it fascinating was just like this idea of like what it looks like your childhood. What your clothes look like now are so different, and it's telling. So the audiobook is excellent. I listened to it at a 2.35 speed. So it's a pretty, if you think it's robotic, just speed it up. I actually was like nonstop reading it. I actually went to bed late and I slept a little bit late. And then I just basically, when I woke up, I was like, I need to listen to this. So I was just like nonstop reading it for like 5 hours. And it was just like a great experience. So after that, I decided to listen to The Kingdom because I was like, well, I heard about the J.K. one. I might as well just give it a try. And it's just as fascinating because there's the similar players, similar people you're going to hear from both of them because there's the same era, the same stuff. The histories are very different, and the whole idea is like very sustainable. So I'm halfway through the Kingdom Prep. I made it through the first 20 years of J. Crew when it was a catalog business, and I just remember this, and I was just telling my friends about this. So I moved about, and I'm like, I don't know, 7 or 8 times since the 20. since 2000, since 1999. I moved like, no, actually, I moved like 10 times. Right? I live in quite a few places, but I only bought a coat from J. Crew from the catalog in 2000 because I went to school at Circus in 99. So this was 2000, 2001, and around that time, early odds. I bought a coat. It was a pea coat because that's what I used to wear in college in the 2000s. You did not wear the pumper jackets. You may have a North Face jacket, but for some reason, I just bought the pea coat. That was like the setting I was going for. And so it's a beige pea coat that's made, and I use it. I wouldn't use it a lot. I use it like every so often, stuff like that. But I kept that coat ever since then. I actually has made it through all my moves. It has I take it to the laundry because there's a laundry sock on it and stuff like that, but I had kept it. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna see if it actually works. Because funny enough, I actually went over to Tampa. I threw away all my winter clothes because I was like, "Ooh, we're gonna do winter again." But I kept that coat. I kept two coats. I kept a coat for on and I kept that coat. So I was like, let me just give it a try. And it fits me. It fits me. Fits it right. I lost like quite a few pounds. And I'm like, oh, I need to lose a few more pounds, but it's not to really stress about it because I'm not traveling to anywhere cold anytime soon. But I'm like, it fits me. And the construction is proper construction. It's so well done. Like, it's just beautiful. It's like, it looks brand new. And this is 20 years later. Like, they don't make clothes like this anymore, which is like the saddest thing. And we hear why they don't make clothes like this anymore. But it just curry thinking, like, maybe that's something when I think about it, like, I'm losing weight, so I need to, like, get clothes, is, like, maybe buy well-made clothes as opposed to fast fashion, as opposed to, like, things that are just gonna, like, wear and tear, it's not gonna last long. Like, clothes are actually gonna last me a long time. So, needless to say. So that's a tangent, and we spent about 10 minutes talking about those 2 nonfiction books, but if you're looking for something nonfiction, if you wanna learn something new about the malls, mall culture, catalogs, and how we used to buy things, and now in the 2010s, 2020s. These are great, 2 great books to listen to. Here's the cover for Selling Fexy, which is The Victoria's Secret and the Reveling of an American Icon by Lauren Sherman and Chantal Fernandez. And here's the image of the Kingdom of Prep, the inside story of the rise and fall, near fall of Jake Frey and Maggie Bullock. So those are the books, the nonfiction books that you should definitely add on to your TBR. All right, so let's just move to some Hallmark Christmas holiday books. As you probably know, I've been talking about all things holiday books for the past couple weeks, and now I'll still be talking holiday books for the next couple more weeks. You can't believe it. It's a season for Hallmark movies are a little bit spicy or a little bit close to a little bit like, well, like get your books ready, get your stuff ready. So like this is our magic. The first book is The Merry Little Midnight Matchmaker by William Monroe. This book is actually like midlife, like 30s or 40s millennial, living small town romances. She's a single mom, he's a single dad. They come together. He's pining for her, she's pining for him. I think it's brother's best friend. It's just fun. Typically, the story set up that she is just a busy single mom trying to take care of everyone. No one takes care of her and no one pays attention to her. And he sees her and he's like, no, I want you. And he's like, well, we're going to do it a try. So, needless to say, they do their, and her family tells her that she should matchmake him with people. And so that's when the matchmaker comes in. But he realizes, like, no, I just want you. So they are together. And their family is just kind of like a crappy family of each other, which was kind of like annoying because I'm like, I wish you had like a better family, but that's probably why it makes the story interesting. But A Merry Little Middle Life Matchmaker by Lily Monroe is a delightful Christmas romance. There is no audiobook for this, so she's have to read it, but it's available in Unlimited. It's just delightful. It's just easy, short. It's like less than 200 pages. You can read them in one setting. I've read this in the airplane, in the airplane. So yeah. All right. The next book, How My Neighbors Stole Christmas by Megan Quinn. So this book is a full cross audio. J.T. Harding and Vanessa Edwin are the duet narration, but then there's full cross audio for all the different people. So there's Shanice, there's Scarlett Hatcher, and then Emma Wilder. So there's the different narrators. And this small town romance set in a place where they're next door neighbors. They're coming together at a competition. They don't want to do the competition together. It's a whole Christmas town competition. He has been around and he's been handling the reindeers of the neighborhood of the town. It's a bird Christmas town. And he's been like depressed and just like about it, and he's been pining for her, but she left him on a very crucial moment, and so he was angry at her, and so they're both competing for the top Christmas polycringle competition, and it's fun. They do some fake dating, they do some mutual pining. It's steamy, it's just joyful. So this was fun. It's a long audiobook, but did not feel long enough. So it's one of those that I actually did enjoy listening to this. I listened to it a couple of days. It was actually a pretty good audiobook to listen to. So the next audiobook actually took me a while to listen to, and I felt that it was way too long. It's also full cast audio. It's My Favorite Holiday by Warren Blakely. It's performed by Samantha Brundler and Jason Clark. I think this is duet also. So I think they do share the stuff, and it has like a full cast audio in Yarn, Tyler Craig's, Vanessa Edwin, Andy Ruiz, Teddy Hamilton, Aaron Mellon, Nora Perez, Shakira Shute, and Ryan West. So there's a whole lot of gays of all different things. This is a billionaire boss assistant relationship. And there's like he has a child, he's a single dad, and his child wants them to get together. And she's like meddling, but I feel like the child felt like 20 something year old. So that's one of my criticisms. Though I felt like the child was like 20 something. And I remember messaging my friend Amy. I was like, why is this child acting like 20? Like, why are we having this? So that's my criticism. If you had to pick between How My Neighbor Stole the Christmas or My Favorite Holiday, I would think How My Neighbor Stole the Christmas is a much better fit for me. And then just skip this one altogether. I did buy this on Audible. I got it as a Kindle Limited, and then was for gift for $7.49. Same goes for How My Neighbor Stole the Christmas. I got it for $7.49. Okay, so let's go for the next book that I'm chatting is Holiday Games. So I read this in one sitting, The Holiday Games by Lily Valente. This was just a fun, like, it's basically a merman girl goes to New York and has to participate in a reality TV show for eating tippers. And it's kind of like a Great British Baking Show, but for hotel years. And it's just like fun thing. They're all casting stuff. It's a reality TV show. It's set in New York City, but it doesn't bother me that it's set in New York City. It feels like we're authentic for New York City. And it's just fun, crazy, lovely. And there's like a cat. Her cousin used to date the hero, and she left him her cat. And so the cat hates the hero. And it's like they have like, this relationship. And when the heroine sees her, it's like, oh my gosh, I know this cat. Like, what is going on? And the cat loves her and stuff like that. And the cat does like so it's just delightful. I love the cat. The cat is like stole the show. And so this was fun. I love the epilogue. I love this book. It's a Kindle Limited. I don't think there's an audiobook, but this is just delightful. So you should definitely pick it up. The next book is My December Darling by Lauren Asher. So this is a novella, but it's actually like a standalone novel. It's like 5 hours on, 6 hours on. So it's turned out like a short novel. It's narrated by Noah Perez and Vanessa Vasquez. It's a Latinx representation. There's Puerto Rican representation. So there's coquito, there's baranda. There's like all the things that we love about Puerto Rican food. So I really love the representation that this characters share. It's actually sisters. So the heroine sister is getting married to the hero's best friend. The heroine is a nurse. The hero and his best friend are both doctors. And they're like, there's like some stuff. And so she's considered nice, clean. And he's like, I like you. I want to like get together with you. And it's just fun. There's Legos. As someone who has learned to discover Legos later in life, this is like such a delightful like toy idea and game. So this was fun. So but December Darling by Lauren Asher was just delightful. It's available on Hoopla. The New Orleans Hoopla has it, and I think other Hooplas have it. So if you want to listen to it, this was just available on Hoopla. Actually, we got two more Christmas books. So these books are short stories available on audio as well as Kindle Limited. They're probably like an hour long audio, like really short stories, like less than 100 pages. So Crow Winter with You is Hazelwood's a short story. It's actually said about it's best friend's brother and the heroine. They've known each other since he was born. And they had this like long story about like how they connected to each other and how they actually know each other and how he always had a crush on her and wants her, but she is not ready for it. And they spend one night together, and it's just lovely. It's just fun. It's not steamy. It's very steam. So this was just like a fun rom. It's a little bit angsty and it's just like delightful. So that's Cruel Winter with You, so by Ali Hazelwood. And now we're gonna go to the steamy one, which is Only Send Us in a Building by Alexis Daria. Instead, in a building in New York City where all the neighbors know each other. And so she is in a deadline. She's writing a book and she's getting like all the deadline, and somebody's giving her ornaments, and we find out that it's him. He always had a crush on her. She had a crush on him. And then the Christmas party, they realize there's a mistletoe, and then they start making out, and they get it on. And it's high beat. It's just fun. You do get a whole story, even though it's like a short story. So you do get a whole backstory of why things are the way they are and what they could do, and the side characters and everything. So this was just delightful. There's three more stories. There's one with Tessa Bailey, Olivia Dade, and Alexander Belcourt that I'll check it out later on this month, and I'll let you know in December. Okay, so now we're going to go to Cozy Mysteries because you might as well just go to my Love Affair 2024. We'll do the Christmas one first, and then we'll go into the other one. So the Christmas one is Bomba by Recola, Bomba and Betrayal by Becca Vegas. This one's set in Puerto Rico. And it's set during Three Kings Day. So like, if you're Latin people, you probably know that we celebrate Three Kings Day, which is on January 6th. And so this sleuth here was surprised that she's going to go see her family in Dominican Republic. And then she realized she has a TV show talking about Latin culture for Latino culture and food and everything in between. So they tell her, like, you need to go to Puerto Rico and you need to record. And so we get to see all things Puerto Rico, from like Old San Juan to Luquillo to Oaxaca to all the different places. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, just if you go to Puerto Rico, go to Old San Juan. You're likely to go to Old San Juan, which is a colonial island. It's a colonial island off Lake San Juan where the Spaniards settle, and that's where all the forts are. And it's this colonial architecture. It's cobblestones. It's a pretty nice little town, old town, and that's where you see the old school colonial. And then you get to go see the food, the culture, and there's a lot of commentary about like the current situation in Puerto Rico with the power outage, have issues with water. We have issues with like Bitcoin influencers moving to Puerto Rico and taking over a lot of like our properties and like avoiding taxes and taking our resources. And that's a commentary that, as someone who has been traveling back and forth from Puerto Rico, and I grew up in Puerto Rico, the island's very different now. And it's interesting. So this was delightful. If you're never been to Puerto Rico or interested in Puerto Rico, I think this is a great introduction to Puerto Rico. She does a really great job to introducing you to the island, to the setting, and to make it seem like, and there's a murder. So kind of fun. So Requiem, Budma, and Betrayal by Becca Vegas is a must read, and it's like a Christmas book, so you might as well. All right, so let's talk about the Cozy Mysteries. So this one's a +1 for murder. So she's down on her luck. She's a former travel agent and she needs a new job. So she becomes a friend for hire, and not as an expert, but like basically she's just a companion. So she's helping with like some people like to like give them companionship and all these different things. And so one of her clients hires her to spend time with him at a open mic situation, and he dies. And we're trying to figure out who killed him because he had a beef with everyone. And so he had a colon with everyone. And so she's trying to figure out who killed him, and see trying to figure out like how to get her business sorted and all these different things. This is fun. I think this is the first in the series. So yeah, it's the first in the series. So you might as well just enjoy the place to go. So that's pretty much it. A +1 for murder. It's a good companionship. Nothing major happens, but it's just the next one is The Party by Ellie Alexander. I've been listening to these books as Secret Bookcase Mystery. I've been listening to these books this year. It's been fun just to keep going. They're shorter books. They're like 6 hours as an audiobook. The audiobooks are available in the library. Cincinnati actually has them. In Ohio, Digital Library has them. So they're actually pretty easily available. So this is just fun. This was a dinner party. I think we talked about she is a bookseller, but she's studied criminal justice. And she has like a really interesting way of like looking at cases. And so The first book was set at a mystery fest. The second book was at a screening. And then this book is at a dinner party. And in this case, the murder is poison, and we're trying to figure out who killed where and what happened. And the menu to die for. So this was fine. Available on Kindle Limited, and audios are available from the library. Next one is The Blonde Identity by Ali Cowder. So I did not read Cowder Girls. I'm a little too old. I'm a little too old for that, for those books. I grew up in the 90s, so I had no experience with Alec Horror, but she does write Spy Girls, and this is her new adult novel. The One Identity is a set of spies. It has amnesia. It has like a whole heist of just moving around Europe and trying to figure out like what happened. It has vibes of Alias. That's what I remember, like just this like spy book kind of deal. So this was fine. This was a delightful audiobook. I think last month I listened to Most Wonderful Criminal of the Year, which is her holiday book, and I really loved it. So she's not an auto cozy mystery rom-com kind of person. There's romance here. I think there's theme in this book. So it's just fun. Blonde Identity is a good mystery rom-com, cozy vibes. So. And finally, The Gardener's Pod by Deborah Benoit is basically, it's a new one. It's the first in a series. It's actually set in a town, I think Massachusetts. She inherits a house. She bought the house. Someone wants to buy a house for her. There's some murder. There's all the murders in the South. She has a gardener, like a whole community garden situation happening. And so that's trying to that around. It's a fun start of the series. I'm curious to read a little bit more about this town. That just to, if you get New England vibes, this is kind of like for it. But yeah, set in the garden, flowers, and all the fun stuff. This is not a fall, or I think this is just like a spring book, actually. So, truly for spring book, this probably will be saved for a TBR. And then we're gonna go to the romance book. So I actually read 2 romance books this month. So the first one is King of Flock, which is duet narration by Gregory Salinas and Elena Wolf. It's by Anna Huang. This is actually like I started to read it a while ago, and then this is kind of like my comfort series. I really like Anna Huang's like King of Sun series. I was the 4th book in the series. You do not have to read this. This is a standalone, truly standalone. Like you may hear some of the stuff at the beginning or the previous books, but you don't have to read them. It's about PR strategist and her client who is about to inherit a lot of money, but he has some flaws he has to do and is overcoming those obstacles and overcoming this stuff. And they're not supposed to be together, but they're together. It's dramatic. It's just fun. It's a living room. So if you're looking for something a little bit shorter, this is probably not it. But, you know, it's just this. So it's a duet narration. So that means that the female narrates all the female pieces and then the male narrates all the male parts. So it's a good one. So, and the final book that I'm going to talk about, it's a 2025 book that comes out and it's perfect for summer 2025. Not any yes. And it's Summer in the City by Alex Astor. So this is like one of those anticipated new releases that are coming out next year. I got a chance to read another copy. But Summer in the City is said about a billionaire guy and like a rich screenwriter. She's been tasked to write a whole novel and like a whole movie in no time. And set in the city, she's given a list of locations that the movie needs to take place. And they work together. And they met each other previously and they're coming back and there's a side story, but it's a love letter to New York City. It has one of my favorite scenes, which is something that I've done it in parks, but I have not done it in one day. It would just walk all the way from Inwood for 100 and something street down to Batter Park, which is like, it's my dream. I don't have the chance to walk most of the city. Over this course of 14 years, I did, like, that was one of my favorite things to do was just to go for a walk and, like, just go for a walk to nowhere and just explore the city as it does. That's what I used to do on the weekends. Like, I loved it. So the idea of walking the whole city in one day, I think it's like 6 miles or something like that. It's a long day, but it's actually really interesting. And so they stop at places that I actually had stopped, like they go to Eat Smith, which is that's where I had my brunch before I left to New York. They go to the Strand, they go to Barnes Nolan News Square, they go down to the seaport. I love the Financial District, and I have, like, that's where I worked, that's where I hung out. Tribeca, rest in peace, the Barnes& and Noble in Tribeca, because that was, like, my favorite Barnes& and Noble ever. It was so good. They closed it out, like, recently, but it was just so good. Like, I don't know, I love that area. So, it's a love letter to New York City. It's a love letter to all the things that we love of the city. So, it's a perfect summer book. It's a good companion with New York Minute. Those are the books that read, and we talked for 37 minutes or a little bit less than that because I'll probably edit this video. But those are the books. I read a lot of good books. I listened to a lot of good books. I actually enjoy my time. What to expect in December. So it looks like I'm reading some fantasy romance. So you'll hear from a couple fantasy romances that I have like in the queue. I'm halfway listening to Phantasma by Kaylee Smith, and then I have Quicksilver to give it a try. I tried it as Kindle, as a book, as in with my eyeballs, but it just did not work. So I'm trying it as an audio, so I'll keep you posted. And I'm hoping to listen to a little bit more Christmas holidays, and then try to a little bit of like some thrillers, some popcorn thrillers, some candy. So there's more to come for this month, but I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.